We're here. I bet you didn't expect to hear from us this week because we told you last week we wouldn't be here.
We lied.
Yeah, we told a big old lie to all of you. Clee got back from California. He's like, let's do this shit. And I was like, hell yeah.
Let's get in the office and fucking record. Because our last 2 episodes on YouTube got decent traction. I mean, we got almost 500 views an episode. And we got 10 subs in one day, which was kind of neat.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Shout out to you all for spreading us out there. It's awesome because, as you all know, the second we hit 500 subscribers, we take a trip to Nevada. Uh-oh. I don't like the face you just made. So before we go any deeper,
beer, man.
I bought a beer and I took a gamble and I don't think it paid off. It's from Shades Brewing. It's a peach cobbler American style sour ale. And Clee is puckering his mouth hole. I guess it's not good.
It's not good, man.
Is it really not?
Yeah,
is it pretty bad?
Take a sip.
Ugh.
I mean, you might like it.
That's not bad.
All right, man. That's your thing. I don't judge here.
I
don't judge kinks.
I think, yeah, I got a kink for peach beer. Let me just tell you, it really just gets me going. No, I told you before, I go for the cans, and this can has pretty ladies on it. So it was hard not to get. I don't know. I won't drink it again. It's not bad. It's about what I expected. Anyway, so yes, we are back this week, and we're going to actually continue what we were doing last week because the horror stories actually took off. So we're going to continue down these scary stories from online.
And I just flew into Salt Lake last night. I mean, I didn't have a lot of time to prepare for this.
Yeah, because we were planning on not recording. So we just wanted to kind of come back, get into the studio, as Cleet said, record another episode. And then next week, I believe we're going to jump into our next chapter of serial killers through the U.S. So We'll do some more of those. But again, before we jump into these stories, I did want to read something. I did want to read a quick comment that showed up on our YouTube from one of our new subscribers. And I guess a longtime listener of the show, Bloody Brittany Art, left us a really cool, really nice comment that I wanted to read. So thank you for commenting in. Bloody Brittany says, I came across your podcast on Spotify last April. I've been a loyal fan ever since. It only took me until today to finally subscribe to your YouTube channel. I don't know how to not make this sound weird, but listening to the way you two host takes me back to high school, early college, almost 20 years ago. Holy shit.
Yeah, we peaked in high school. It makes sense.
Yeah. I used to hang out with a couple of my older cousins and some of their friends whenever they'd all get together to play D&D or some other game, or sometimes we'd pick a random, really bad B-level horror film to watch. Mystery Science Theater 3000 style, of course. With each hangout, one of us would bring a different kind of beer for us all to try. Hey. Everyone was great and enjoying things without taking them too seriously, and I laughed so hard often during these hangouts. So, thank you guys for bringing that vibe back for me. I look forward to every new episode. Also, congratulations to you and your wife, Britton. Thank you very much. That's such a cool comment.
That makes me happy. And yeah, I think the one thing that is different about our podcast and all other horror podcasts is we're like, first of all, we're not overly dramatic.
We just don't take ourselves seriously.
And we're not going to lie to you about like what's real. Like I was watching one on the TikTok, and they're like, there was this black hole that ejected matter. And we don't know what's going on with that. So what in the black hole pushed out that matter? I'm like, Jesus, bro, what happened was it got close to the event horizon, and it just tore apart matter. Someone in, someone out. They're lying. They lied to their viewers.
Yeah, or they just don't study everything like you do.
I went to the comments. No, dude, they're brutal. They're like,
the comments on TikTok are bad.
A lot of things must be spooky if you didn't graduate high school.
Oh, damn. That's not good. All right, but yeah, it is fun. Like, we've used the Ouija board, and we're not going to pretend that shit moves. We got zero traction on it.
Kind of did a little bit. The Ouija board will work. We'll keep trying it. We're bringing it to the Clown Motel. It's going to be a wild ride.
Spear box is coming with us. The ghost rods, I think, is what's been giving us the most traction.
We haven't whipped those out in a while.
Yeah. You haven't whipped out our rods in a while. We got to change that.
But anyway. When rods cross, yeah. That means yes.
When the rods are crossing, don't enter the studio. But thank you very much, Bloody Brittany, for the comment here. We really appreciate it. Thanks for the support since April. Thanks for supporting the show and for subscribing on YouTube. You make us one step closer to the Clown Motel, which I know we keep talking about. We're getting there. We just got to get the camera. There's a lot that goes into it. I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but now that I have 4 kids, planning travel and all that stuff, it's fucking a lot of work.
It's going to happen soon, too. 49 subs.
49 subs away. So you heard it here, 49 away, and then we will take our trip to Nevada. But I digress. We're jumping back into scary stories online, drinking a peachy sour beer. This is from Story of My Life 7. They didn't know I was in front of them the whole time. I was 13 at the time of the incident. My mom and dad had left for a business trip for the weekend, so I had the entire house to myself. As a 13-year-old girl who had strict parents, this was so exciting because I could have as many friends over as I wanted. Once they had left, I called all my friends about 20 minutes after telling them to come over. Most of them declined the offer, knowing that if they got caught by my parents, they would get in trouble, but the others said that they would. It took about 15 minutes for most of my friends to get there, but once they did, we all watched movies, ate snacks, etc. Around 9:30 p.m., they all left, and I was back to having the house to myself. Man, that's quite a party. So I decided to go to sleep for the night, only because I didn't have anything else to do. I woke back up to a loud noise, glass breaking downstairs to be specific. As I, a 13-year-old female, this was my worst fear, so I got into my closet and sat in there for what felt like an eternity until I ended up falling asleep. I woke up at 9:45 a.m. to my alarm, but I didn't go to turn it off because something didn't feel right about turning it off. I thought that if I did turn it off, whoever broke in would know that I'm up here, even if they were still there, and I was right. I heard footsteps running upstairs and into my room. My heart was pounding and I was shaking, frantically trying to text someone to come to the house and help. I got a text from my mom and all it said on the banner was, "Mom, attachment, 1 image." I opened the text. It was a picture of a guy inside of the house upstairs in my room. My heart sank as I knew that if I made one noise too loud that I would get killed. My mom texted me multiple times asking if I was okay and that she was calling the cops. I felt somewhat relieved until I saw the shadow of whoever it was in front of my closet facing towards it. I almost started to cry, but I kept thinking in my head, noise equals death, over and over again. About 20 minutes of that person standing in front of the closet went by until I heard the police sirens outside. Then I saw the shadow of the person running, leaving the room. I didn't know whether or not to leave the closet or stay, but I stayed until I heard the policeman come into my room and say, "Police!" I opened the door and almost burst into tears when I saw the cop standing there waiting for me. Turns out the person was my mom's special needs brother who was planning to kill me, and the reason he was standing in front of my closet for so long was because he was thinking about all the different ways that he could kill me, but the smell of me made it easier to think about it. He never knew I was in the closet. This happened 10 years ago, but I remember it like it was yesterday.
That's scary,
That's
man.
freaky as fuck,
Yeah.
dude.
All right, guys, we're going back to the girlfriend. We're going back to my girlfriend
We're going back to the girlfriend
that talks in her sleep. This is part 3.
Yeah, we did part 1 and 2 last episode. It was kind of weird. This is the girlfriend that's like licking the underside of the door. Guy can't get his cat out, right?
Like, why does my feet feel wet? All right, let's jump into it. Here's what I know. First, the possession ends when she wakes up. Did any of that really happen? 2, she has no recollection of the previous night. 3, water disables, but only momentarily, 2 to 3 minutes. 4, the black ooze she drools and sweats while possessed evaporates. The bed and floor were wet this morning from the water I sprayed. The rest had all disappeared by the time I checked. 5, the cat is fine. And 6, I need help. She's taking work calls in the other room. I'm doing my best to focus on my own work, but my mind drifts from my laptop screen. I can't focus. Agreeing to myself that I won't get anything worthwhile done today, I give up and start thinking about next steps. I need an exorcist. I'm not the kind to call an exorcist. I'm the kind of guy that scoffs at the idea. They are all scams. You can't have experience in something that doesn't exist. Clearly, I am not the religious type, but I'll table my reservations for now. I'm not going to go through all that again on my own. Feeling totally out of my element, but unwilling to call a church, I found an exorcist on Craigslist. Price is no object. Let's get this thing out of my girlfriend. He says he'll come over tonight. He messages me and says it is the utmost importance that my girlfriend's walking body does not find out what we are going to do. If she does find out and is not able to fall asleep, no refunds. That's wise word. How much more could I expect from a Craigslist exorcist? I am certainly not thrilled with the idea of a stranger knowing my address, but I'm not backing out now. As you can imagine, this is the slowest slog of a day I've ever experienced in my life. I am anxious. I feel physically sick. I jump at everything my girlfriend says. I can't look her in the eyes without imagining that eerie yellow tinge behind them.
Well, she got jaundice?
Around lunchtime, I hear her humming happily in the kitchen. She really has no idea, does she? A profound sense of certain death washes over me as I watch her wield a knife to cut vegetables. She's like aggressively cutting broccoli. Finally, the workday is over. My acting this evening was on par with an Oscar winner. Remembering what The Exorcist told me and failing to come up with an excuse, I got into bed with her. I made sure to place the cat in a comfortable spot in the living room. We're reading side by side when she leans over, kisses me goodnight, my eyes open, and turns out her bedside table light. I'm going to keep mine on for now. Thank you. My body tense with desire to bolt. We begin to spoon. She cannot learn that something is wrong. Just a little longer. I figure I'm safe as long as I exit before she falls asleep. She raises her head and asks, "Why is your heart beating so fast?" Thinking quickly, just freaked myself out by my book is all. Maybe reading horror before bed isn't the best decision. Thankfully, she laughs at my obsession for the macabre and returns her head to the pillow. I count down from 3 minutes. That's 180 Mississippis. She must have been close to asleep because she didn't protest when I get up. I install the chair as my lock unit and wait. "Where are you, pumpkin? Can't you sleep?"
No.
This is so close to my girlfriend's voice, I'm certain I made the whole thing up. I'll play it safe, I decide, and not respond. Again, "It's cold without you, baby. Come back to bed." I'm sure it's cold as hell where this thing is coming from. I'm not opening that door. "There's someone coming up the driveway. It's late. Don't let them in." I stand up to answer the front door. Outside in the dim front door light is a tall man clad in traditional priest garb. He looks like Ethan Hawke from the movie First Reform.
Oh, Jesus. It is Ethan Hawke.
But clearly with a body covered in tattoos, as evidenced by the inked skin poking out from beneath his cuffs. Pretty much exactly what you would expect from a Craigslist exorcist. There's not much time to introduce ourselves.
It's the Craigsorcist.
The Craigsorcist. There's not much time to introduce ourselves as we hear an alarming scrape come from the bedroom.
You really can get everything on Craigslist. A fucking exorcist? It's like, "May the power of Christ compel you," and shit.
A body. I'm just
Get
kidding.
the fuck. What? A body on Craigslist? I just want a body. Doesn't matter what kind.
I don't care where you got it. I just need it. I take this moment to read the priest's face and check if he actually has experience with this. He seems to at least be brave, his face giving no indication that he's wearing a costume for a quick buck. Outside of the bedroom door now, in hushed tones, he begins to explain what he's going to do. Brandishing a Bible and a small jar of holy water, I decide not to explain that sink water works fine. We're about to open the door, hands on the chair, I hear scraping again. This time, I realize the sound was never coming from the bedroom. It came from the living room. To my left, I hear a stranger breathe out softly. The cat. The cat has been watching us the whole time. Its normally green eyes, now bloodshot and yellow. No pupils in sight, poking out from around the corner. Black paste drooling from its agape mouth, leaving a snail trail of fluid behind it as it stalks out into the open. The cat's possessed now. It attempts to hiss while making eye contact with the priest, but all that comes out is a bubbling gurgle of more fluid.
It just sounds like a cat.
Onto the hardwood. I don't know what cats you got, man. That ain't right.
Sounds like your cats.
They need to see the vet, bro. Are the cat's legs longer than usual? It looks like it's grown 5 inches in height, typically sitting around ankle level, but right now could stand as high as my knees. I curse quietly to myself. How could I have been so stupid? Of course, the cat managed to get itself possessed. I spent the whole night in the bedroom, presumably mopping up the viscous black oil, wet food, with its mouth. New plan, cat first. I shit you not, the cat fucking talks. Its mouth doesn't move.
Oh, Jesus. Here we go. Talking fucking cats.
I want food right now. Its mouth doesn't move from its totally agape resting position, but the voice comes out of its mouth. It's that same too deep nightmare voice. I'm all too familiar with. I told you not to let him in. Ooh. Just then, my girlfriend decides she needs attention again. A consistent rapping of knuckles on the door. Let me out of here. Let me out. Let me out.
Jesus Christ.
God. Scary. I'm triaging the situation in my mind when I realized the moment I took my eyes off the cat, it had rocketed itself forward, climbed the priest's tall body, wrapped its 2 long legs around his neck, and constricts him like a snake.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
It's like a cat boa. It maintains dull eye contact with me as I look on in horror. The priest drops his Bible and holy water on the ground, attempting to tear the cat's octopus-like legs away from his neck. He succeeds momentarily and cites what I assume is a Bible verse. The cat puts a stop to this with a quick navigation of its tail deep down the priest's throat. Coughing and hysterical, he can't manage to escape its impossible grip. Claws digging, bloody fissures into his neck. Oh my God. My turn, as I grab the holy water from the ground and grapple with the cat's jaw, pouring the contents of the jar down its slime-obstructed throat. Immediately, the cat falls to the ground like a corpse, legs splayed in every direction. It lays on the ground, defeated for now. Once the cat is safely inside, its travel carrier, the priest, and I share a grim look. I ask him if he's ever dealt with this kind of thing before. Rubbing his neck, he says, "Of course. Thousands of times." What? It takes a great deal of conviction for me not to physically roll my eyes. Glad you are around. That's part 3.
This story comes from Evelyn28_hi. Something is terribly wrong with my neighborhood. I had moved into a new neighborhood. On my first day here, the neighbors next door came over. At first, I thought they just wanted to introduce themselves, but I was wrong. It was normal at first, but then it wasn't. My neighbor, Molly, who is 29, said something that creeped me out. You have to lock all of your doors at night. At 2 a.m., there will be a knock at your door. Whatever you do, do not open the door. Now, that's a little ominous. She and her husband, Mark, who's 32, just nodded. What? I said in confusion.
Lock your door.
Just don't open the door, Molly said. Later, they left, and I had forgotten about what Molly said. I don't know how you would forget that these people just came over and said, don't open your door.
Started watching The Price is Right, man.
At 1:57 a.m., I went downstairs to get a glass of water. I left my phone upstairs, and I was about to go back up, but then I heard it, a knock at my door. I froze in place, remembering what Molly had said. Sir, can you please open the door? We have a delivery for you, said a male voice. But I didn't move. I wanted to move, but I couldn't. A few minutes later, the knocking stopped. I was glad. I went upstairs and talked to my friends some more, then I went to sleep. Tomorrow I went to work, as usual. I got home at 7 p.m., cooked dinner, took a shower, and at 11 p.m. I came out of the shower and went downstairs to watch a movie. At 2 a.m., there was another knock at the door. Sir, can you please open the door? We have a delivery for you, said a male voice from outside. I snuck up to my door, looking through the peephole to see a delivery driver of some brand I had never heard of, standing outside, package in hand. He was looking down, but like he sensed I was there, he looked up. I almost fell backwards. This guy had no eyes, just holes. He smiled from ear to ear, literally, and said something in a language I'm pretty sure doesn't exist. Did this motherfucker just throw a curse at me? I thought to myself. The delivery driver started banging on the door, and I just ran upstairs. But even upstairs in my room, I felt unsafe. I could still hear that guy, or thing, banging on my front door. I was damn near pissing my pants. Suddenly, the knocking just stopped. I was glad and happy he left, but that didn't last for long. I remembered I forgot to lock my back door. Whatever that thing is in my house right now as I type this. I can hear it searching for me. It's just a matter of time before it finds me. And that's how it ends.
Wow. Probably dead.
Probably got her.
I'll
Probably
update you later. There was never an update.
All right, first comment. So happy I just read this at 1:51 a.m. Hope your doors were locked.
All right, this is the final conclusion of My Girlfriend Talks Into Her Sleep.
I can't tell you how eagerly I'm awaiting the conclusion to the girlfriend talking in her sleep.
100% true story. Slime tendrils seek blind escaped from the air holes in the side of my travel carrier as I explained to the priest not to swallow any of the black liquid.
I know there's a bunch of black liquid. I'm going to have to ask that you don't swallow it. As tempting as it may be, do not pick it up and eat it.
It tastes like Mountain Dew. Pass it over.
Mountain Dew Pitch Black, it's some good shit.
I think there may not be too much hope for him now that my cat's tail has penetrated deep into his throat, but we can discuss this later. My train of thought is interpreted by the sobbing harassment of a girlfriend possessed in the bedroom. You don't love me. You never loved me.
If my wife ever talked like that, you've never loved me, I'd be like, we gotta talk, because that's scary.
That deep voice cry.
You never loved me before.
Right. The doorknob shakes with dreadful force, tremors ringing through the hallway. Fingers emerge at the bottom of the door, viscous oil dripping from under splotched fingernails.
Well, I mean, at least this time it's her fingers, not her fucking tongue.
Open this door, or I kill the girl. The fingers vanish. A pause. Breaking glass from inside the room. Is it planning to jump out the window? Surely it is bluffing. We are on the 3rd floor. Like any parasitic creature, it wouldn't gravely harm its precious host. There is a renewed sense of urgency at this threat, but I am at a loss. We poured holy water down the cat's throat, but its body has already turned into an abomination. I can only describe as it is the alien from the thing. I wonder to myself if one of those squirming legs is going to detach, sprout a blinking eyeball, and hide in the vent. I feel helpless. I can't stay up all night misting my girlfriend like she's some damn pet chameleon for the rest of my life.
Why not? That's true love.
Still out of breath from being choked by my cat, the priest manages to wheeze. We need to open the door. What will we do? Water stops her, but only for a minute. It's too dangerous to perform the rites while she's in this form. We need to get her in the shower and then restrain her. This is a good idea. Why didn't I think of that? Feeling a touch more brave as the priest increasingly proves himself as an asset, I begin to remove the chair. Thank you, baby. Why did you lock me in here? I have been so scared.
Oh, I can't with this story.
My subconscious will forever be unwilling to separate the pleas of a demonic beast from the genuine pleas of my loving girlfriend. I hesitate, but with effort manage to shrug off this false appeal of normalcy. Chair in hand, I take a step back from the door. For a single beat, there is silence. The latch clicks. She is opening the door. Shining, black, slicked hair emerges, covering her face in totality through the crack in the door. She seems to have gained several inches in height as her full form comes into view. Then a single ring, yellowed eye reveals itself through her long hair. In search for that eye, for some sign that she is still in there, somewhere, anywhere. She is wielding a broken shard of glass and holding it to her own wrist. There is no time for protest before the priest has already sprayed her down. Her frenzied dodge is thwarted as a second jet of water dampens the pajamas my mother bought her for Christmas. I will never forget the powerlessness I felt in the next few moments. With only a few seconds left of control, the demon cuts my girlfriend's hand cruelly at the wrist with the shard of glass. That's not being enough. She gnaws the rest off with her mouth. Completely dismembered, her hand splashes to the ground in a grotesque, murky puddle of blood and oil.
Jesus.
Stunned, I witness a transformation of the human body before me. Her body shakes globally and erratically on the ground as her skin regains its color. I remember a classmate from school who had seizures and that we needed to protect her head, but I am incapacitated. The priest doesn't take time to emotionally reckon the fact that my girlfriend just lost her non-dominant hand. He scoops her up, rushes her to the shower, and turns on the water. A mixture of shell shock and a concussion leave me standing idle while I stare in slow motion from the severed fist to the shower, back to the bedroom. The beast has been proficiently turning our bedroom into some kind of nest. The walls, windows, and ceiling are painted in black as night paste, with the consistency of spoiled milk. Dripping from the ceiling fan onto the bed, our furniture is unrecognizable in the spiderweb of fluid coating the room. The priest is washing his hands in the bathroom sink. He comes and stands before me, shaking me at his shoulders, evidently having been demanding things of me for the last few seconds. Anybody home? We need you to act. I need your help now. I come back to reality. The priest, now gritting his teeth and manic at my seeming inability to cope with the fact that life will never go back to normal. Do you have any rope or handcuffs? Anything to restrain her with? I have some bungee cords down in my car. I'll get them. I sprint down the stairs and bellow down them 3 at a time. Grabbing the keys off the hook, I run to the car, locate the bungee cords in the trunk, and rush back upstairs. The priest has torn apart our medical cabinet, looking to apply first aid to my girlfriend's arm, and as if applying pressure as I approach. I frantically tie a single bungee cord as I makeshift tourniquet to slow down the bleeding. We carry her lifeless body to the bed and restrain her to the frame. Her head hangs limp. I wonder how long it'll be before she turns back into that monster, but then she wakes up. She looks up at me, totally disoriented, and cries desperately as the pain sets in. It's okay, baby. It's okay. I know this is bad. Believe me, we are working on it. There is a lump in my throat as I sit down on the bed, repeatedly kissing her on the forehead and attempting to assuage the impossible. She is in so much pain. I almost want the monster to take back control so that she cannot feel it anymore. Mercifully, she faints, eyes still open. I point her chin up towards me and watch as the hollowness returns. From brown to yellow, her pupils go opaque, and their descent into madness once again. Tears and blood still on her face, she smiles. It's over. You have failed. Amen.
Oh.
That too deep familiar voice reverberates through his sinister grin. How is this winning in the eyes of this creature? It is restrained, more so than before. It knows something we don't. Something moves in my peripheral. It's my girlfriend's severed hand, fingers patting across the floor like a spider. A trail of sludge follows it as it reaches its destination. The spray bottle. It senses that we have seen it, its form turning to look at us with no ability to see. The hand leaps, tackling the spray bottle and tumbling awkwardly down the stairs. I am speechless. We have to go after it. We can't let it get outside of the house. Violently thrashing from the bedroom, the priest. The knots are holding. You go after her. I will perform the rites. Running down the stairs, I hear a distant murmuring of the ritual. Lord above, Redeemer of the world, have mercy on us. It's just a hand. It could have let the cat out. It could be worse. I turn on the light. As I go, it's on the first floor. I tiptoe over the black slime, extra cautious so as to not get any on me. I'm reminded of the time my pet snake escaped, and my girlfriend and I spent an entire afternoon looking for it. But looking for the snake isn't like looking for the cat. Cats can get underneath and above objects. Snakes can get inside of objects. A hand could be anywhere. In between couch cushions, inside the laundry machines. It could already be outside. I have it cornered. It's behind the refrigerator. I act like I haven't noticed the trail of slime leading right there, and I walk as casually as possible to the cabinet to fill a glass of water. My weapon is at the ready. I walk to the side of the refrigerator and peek behind it. Nothing. Suddenly, a pronged silhouette covers the kitchen light. Pouncing like an insect, the hand leaps from the top of the refrigerator, the perfect height to land right on my face. The hand is still wearing my girlfriend's class ring attached to my head, pulling my hair until it clenches a vice grip with a thumb behind my top layer of teeth. Pressing pointer and ring finger into each eye socket, I drop my glass on the ground. It takes both hands to remove the hand from my face and throw it as hard as I can against the wall. My vision blurred. I pick my girlfriend's disoriented hand up from the ground and run water over it in the sink. I splash water in my face and wash out my mouth as best I can. Harried, I fill a cooler of ice and water and throw the hand inside. I run back upstairs, hoping, maybe praying, that the priest did his job. It is silent except for the demonic mews of a cat in the other room. Meow. The priest is hulking over my girlfriend, muttering something under his breath as he cradles the Bible in one hand and his fingers point in all directions in the other. Noticing me, he hurriedly shuts his Bible, but seeing one of the pages, I note that it is in fact not a Bible at all. Inside are what I can only imagine demonic scrawls and symbols would look like, but the priest has done his job, he says. The demon has left her. Carefully placing my girlfriend in the back seat, I yell back to the priest, I'll pay him when we get back. Putting on my seatbelt, I look out the window and note a tattoo on his arm similar to a symbol I saw in the false Bible. Driving to the hospital like a husband would if his wife had gone into labor, I wonder if you can surgically reattach a hand like you can a finger.
Nope.
Then I wonder if the hand even should be reattached. Do I need to ask the priest to perform a pious ritual to just a hand? That's it. That's his story getting possessed. And
that's it, huh? She loses a hand. All right, this is from Geisling. It's called Hungry. Is this going to be like the casserole story we read last week? Mikey and his little sister were hungry. Very hungry. Mikey wasn't sure exactly how long their mama had been gone, but it seemed like a long time. Mama had been watching the TV a lot before she left, especially the man that told the news. She'd seemed really worried, but when Mikey asked what the man meant about the outbreak and about the infected, Mama had just shushed him. Mikey was happy when Mama said the school was canceled at first, but after a week or two it got really boring and lonely. He and Sarah played a lot, but Sarah was just a little kid. She didn't even know her numbers. It wasn't the same as playing with his friends. Mama wouldn't take them to the park either, because she said there were too many infected people. Right before she left, Mama had gotten a cold, but she said she was all right. She was coughing a lot, was awfully pale, but Mikey made her some soup in the microwave, and she said she felt better. That night, Mikey heard the newsmen mention riots, and the infected were becoming more and more violent. Mama shushed him again when Mikey asked what that meant. Mikey made Mama soup every day, but she just seemed to get sicker and sicker. She got tired sometimes, and Mikey found a tissue with red stuff on it. Mama got really mad when Mikey asked about it. She slapped him, which she'd never done before. She looked more surprised than Mikey felt, and she cried and cried. She said she couldn't help it. Her cold was making her confused. The next morning, Mama woke Mikey up early. She said she had to go to try and find help and that she might be gone for a day or two. She showed Mikey the food in the pantry and reminded him how to use the microwave. Mikey let her, but he rolled his eyes on the inside. He was 9. He didn't need help to use a microwave.
Sad.
Once she was sure Mikey could use the microwave, she gave him a big hug. She told him to watch Sarah and not to let anyone in until she came back. She said they could not go outside, not for anything. Mikey was really proud that she trusted him enough to watch his sister. She told him that she loved him, then gave Sarah a kiss and a hug while she was asleep. Then Mama left. Mikey and Sarah played all day after Mama left and stayed up late. After Sarah fell asleep, Mikey turned on the newsman. He didn't understand it all, but it sounded bad. The newsman said the guard was being called in because a lot of the infected people were becoming violent. First they'd get sick, then they'd get delirious. Mikey had to look that word up, and it wasn't good. From there, they'd get violent, attack people. Some of the news videos looked like scary movies. Over the next couple days, Mikey got more and more worried. Mama didn't come back, and the newsman had worse and worse news. They didn't call the sick people infected anymore. They called them zombies, like from one of Mikey's games. The videos they showed got worse and worse. Mikey didn't like watching them. The day after that, the TV stopped working. Well, it worked, but the channels were gone. Mikey and Sarah just watched their movies instead. Sarah was happy, but she kept asking about Mama. Mikey didn't know what to tell her anymore. They watched out the windows every day, hoping to see her. Mikey was really worried because the food was almost gone. They'd eaten all the good stuff first, but even the gross oatmeal was almost gone. Mikey just knew that Mama had to come home soon. Mikey was looking through the cabinets, trying to figure out how to make some of the food that needed cooked, when he heard Sarah shout his name excitedly. Mikey, Mikey, it's Mama. Oh, fuck, she's a zombie.
It's not Mom.
She yelled as he ran into the living room. She was jumping up and down on the couch, pointing out the window. Mikey looked out and saw her, just standing in their cul-de-sac with some strangers. She didn't look very good. She's wearing the same clothes she had on when she left, just a lot dirtier. Mikey wasn't sure, but he thought the crusty brown stuff on her mouth and shirt might be blood. Regardless, Sarah was right. It was Mama, and that's what mattered. Sarah banged on the window ecstatically, waving at their Mama, shrieking for her. Mama turned towards the window when she heard Sarah. Mikey saw that her eyes looked kind of foggy, like a cold window when you breathed on it. Mikey grabbed Sarah and they ran to the door hand in hand. Mikey turned the heavy deadbolt and got the door open. He saw that the strangers were coming with Mama, slowly walking towards them, and she knew she must have found help for them after all. The two small children ran to their Mama. Mikey just knew they wouldn't have to be hungry anymore.
Sad. That's
Holy
a horrible story.
God.
This one is called My Wife of 7 Years Wore a Red Ribbon on Her Wrist. When I found out why, it shocked me to my core. I am 35M, and I have a wonderful wife who is 32F. We have been married for 7 years and have 3 beautiful children. That gives me shivers of excitement down to my spine when they were born. My wife, Marianne, has suddenly been starting to wear a red ribbon around her wrist ever since our last date night, July 18, 2023. I wonder sometimes why she wore it. The day I found out why she did was the day I almost hung myself out of confusion. "Honey, you're back from work," she said, with a slight grin on her face, whilst tightening the ribbon around her wrist. "Hi, babe. The office was a bit crowded today, so my boss let me come home early." As I replied, a disgusting stench drafted into my nostrils. I immediately gagged, wondering what the hell the smell was, and I noticed it came from the direction in which my wife sat. "Babe, what's that smell?" I say, pinching my nose in disgust. "Oh, nothing," she said a few moments later. I look at the red ribbon and notice it's a bit stained, so without warning, I just pulled it off. Beneath the ribbon was the most vile thing I've ever witnessed in my entire life. There, underneath the ribbon, was bits of torn flesh, rotting as maggots swarmed her hand. I instantly shrieked and ran out of the room, barfing in the bathroom. I am currently writing this post as she's banging on the bathroom door, begging me to open it up. What should I do? What the fuck?
That was it?
Yeah, that's it.
All right, this is from Normal Alfalfa 8523, and it's called "I Took a Wrong Turn, Ended Up in a Quiet Village. Something isn't right here."
Spooky.
I checked my GPS. 15 more minutes. I was almost to Jason's. It had been years since I'd spent time with my brother anywhere besides a jail or rehab center. He'd had a few rough years dealing with addiction and legal issues. Luckily, he'd seemed to be doing a lot better now, and I was hopeful about this weekend. For his birthday tomorrow, we planned to go out to the lake, rent a kayak, do some fishing like when we were younger. I was looking down at my phone when I glanced up and noticed a pair of eyes looking straight at me. "Shit!" I yelled. I slammed my brakes, which sent my car sideways into the gravel. I narrowly missed the deer. It was still in the middle of the road, standing, still as a statue. I honked, hoping to scare it off, but it just stood there. What the hell was wrong with it? I put my brights on so I could see better. The deer was skinny, and its coat was matted. Finally, it wandered off into the woods. I straightened out my car and continued on my way, just happy I got out of that with no damage. My GPS had gone silent, and I noticed I had lost connection. Shit. I kept driving, looking for my next turn. Kept going for quite a while. I knew I had to have passed it at this point. Feeling anxious, I turned on the radio, but all my preset stations were nothing but static. I looked for another station, but only found more static. I sighed, turning off the radio. I turned onto a gravel road, hoping that it would get me back to where I was. A few minutes later, I noticed a single street light up ahead. I drove towards a small residential area. I didn't remember this area. I don't think I've ever even driven through it before. The houses were all dark. The other streetlights were all dark as well, as if they'd burnt out, and no one bothered to replace them. I noticed a small gas station and convenience store that was lit up, hopefully open. My gas light had come on about 5 minutes before, so I decided to stop. Maybe if the store was open, I could get directions or a Wi-Fi signal. I pulled into the gas station and noticed no other customers were at the pumps. Aside from the buzzing of the fluorescent lights, it was eerily quiet in the dimly lit store. I took a quick stroll through the snack aisle, grabbing a bag of chips off the shelf. As I picked them up, the bag came open, leaving crumbs of chips all over the floor. A mouse scurried on the shelf. I tossed the chips aside in disgust. I decided against getting anything to eat, but figured at least to grab an energy drink. The can I pulled out of the cooler was room temperature. Annoyed, I rolled my eyes, but headed up to the counter to pay for my gas and my drink. No one was at the counter. I rang the bell, waiting a good 5 minutes. "Hello?" I called out. I heard someone moving around in the small room behind the counter. Finally, I thought, I had my card out, ready to pay, but when the door opened, I stepped back. The man that emerged was emaciated pale, wearing dirty clothes. As creepy as this was, I was familiar with seeing people in active addiction and figured this may be the case for him, so I tried to be as polite as possible. "Hey man, I need 20 on pump 3. He stared at me for a minute, and I noticed he was drooling. "Buddy?" I said, trying to get his attention. He stared back with a blank expression. I tried to hand him my card. Still nothing. "Never mind," I said as I walked out. I tried to pay at the pump, but the pump kept instructing me to see cashier. The other pumps weren't working either. I just had to keep looking for a main road to take me to the nearest town. As I was pulling away from the gas station, I noticed a woman walking around the side of the building. She looked like she was in her 50s, wearing jeans and a t-shirt, despite it being pretty cold out tonight. She was walking around in a circle. When I got closer, I noticed the look on her face. Her expressionless eyes mixed with an unnatural half-smile as something branded into my memory forever. I kept driving. There was some road work with detours that kept rerouting me in what felt like a gigantic circle. I had no luck at getting out of the area, even though I was willing to go basically anywhere to get out of there. Frustrated and low on gas, I stopped at a park. I had 1 bar of signal at this point, so I stepped out of my car, pacing around the parking lot as I tried to call my brother. He answered, but the connection was so bad he couldn't understand anything that I said. Eventually the call dropped, wouldn't reconnect. I sunk down next to my car in defeat, decided to smoke a cigarette. There weren't any other cars here, but there was a small rest area with vending machines and a drinking fountain. I was able to find a few bucks in my car to get a bag of chips out of the machine. I heard a knocking sound. Against my better judgment, I followed it. I opened the door to the bathroom. The room was lit only by a fluorescent light that was flickering, likely on its way to burning out. A man stood in front of the sink, staring at his reflection in the mirror. He either didn't notice me or didn't care about my presence. He tipped his head back, then slammed it right into the mirror. He repeated this every few seconds. Bits of glass hung from his forehead and blood dripped down his face and onto the floor. I gasped as he turned towards me, ran to my car. It wouldn't start. The man exited the bathroom and started towards my car. I locked myself in and laid on the horn. He yelled and eventually ran away, limping as he ran. I sat there in the dark, alone and shaking. What the hell was up with the people here? I'd lived in areas with drug activity and a homeless population, but this was next level. I wondered if there were any normal people here at all. Eventually, I realized that I'd have to find my way out on foot. I grabbed a pocket knife, flashlight, water bottle, and a phone. I walked through the wooded area behind the park. I could faintly see lights in the distance, so if I could just make it through these woods, I'd be out of here. Walking along, I noticed some bright yellow signs. CWD infected area. No trespassing. CWD, I thought. Then I remembered where I'd heard this before. My dad used to take my brother and I hunting as kids, and one day a buck pretty much served itself up on a silver platter. I remember being excited that I had finally shot a deer, but my dad seemed concerned. We approached and could see its body was emaciated and fur was matted. My dad shook his head. "We need to get this one tested. Looks like chronic wasting disease." "What's that?" I asked. "Basically, it's a disease that gets into the deer's brain, messes it all up. Once an animal has it, they'll act really strange, starving themselves, pacing around listlessly, sometimes even hurting themselves, and eventually they die." "Kinda like a zombie?" I asked. He laughed. "Sort of." My phone rang, snapping me out of the memory. I was relieved to see that it was Jason. I could actually hear him this time. I tried to explain where I was. All I really knew was that I was in a village about 15 minutes north of him. "If it's Aldergrove, that place was evacuated," he told me. I asked if he knew why. Jason said he didn't know the details as it was kept very hush-hush by local government, but was related to disease. I tried to explain all the weird things I saw here when the call started breaking up again. I paced around trying to find a better signal when suddenly I felt a stinging pain in my thigh. A small arrow stuck out. I dropped my phone and my legs became weak. My vision went dark. I regained consciousness but was still groggy. My hands and feet were tied and I was being carried by a man in military uniform. He brought me to what looked like an exam table and spoke to a man in a white coat. I couldn't hear everything because my ears were ringing, but what I did pick up was, "Found wandering in the woods, acting strange, within boundary." His voice trailed off as I fell back asleep. I woke up again to a shooting pain in my arm. I was strapped to an exam table and blood was being drawn from my left arm. Unable to move, I sleepily glanced around. I noticed other people in white coats walking about the facility, which was a large building with glass walls. I watched one of the people working there pull something out of a cooler and hand the bag off to someone else who was wearing a full hazmat suit. They opened the bag, revealing a human head, which they began to use a tool to drill into. I screamed in horror. A burning fluid was injected into my neck, and my vision went dark again.
Oh my God.
God damn.
What's up with you and zombie stories, bro?
I just read ones that have cool titles. All right, that's going to wrap us up for yet some more scary stories we found online. Thank you all for joining us, and a huge shout out to our 8 paid supporters of the show: Claytor, Lord of Soup, Curtis and Laura, Jackson, Mothman, Laura, Devin, Conklin family, and Lou. The constant support is absolutely appreciated. We're getting closer and closer to getting our camera and some other fun stuff. And as we talked about earlier, YouTube, we're only, 49 subs
49
away?
subs away.
49 away from going to the Clown Motel. And again, thank you for all the love and support that you give us on YouTube and on Buzzsprout. We really appreciate it. If you have any suggestions at all you want us to cover, your personal stories, whatever, entertheabysspod@gmail.com or on YouTube. We will definitely try and give you a shout out where we can.
If you're listening to us on YouTube, please like, share, and subscribe, as it really helps us get us out there. And as always, thank you for entering the abyss.
Until next time.